If I told you that introducing wolves in an area can change the behavior of rivers, would you believe me? Well, it's true. This is the story of the several cascading effects that took place when wolves were reintroduced at the Yellowstone National Park, which is located in the western region of the United States. A warm welcome to Stories at Work, a weekly series where I share real stories from across the world that you can use in business. www.storyworks.in already has over 100 stories, and a new story is added every week. I first heard this story in Anecdotally Speaking, a podcast by Sean Callahan and Mark Schenk. Let's start today's story. Yellowstone National Park, the world's first national park, was established in 1872 to protect the wilderness. The wolf population in the park dramatically reduced towards the end of the 19th century. Much of the wolves' prey base was destroyed as agriculture flourished and agriculture land began to expand. With the prey base removed, wolves began to attack domestic stock, which resulted in ranchers eliminating wolves. And the fact that wolves' pelts was sought after for winter clothes, like coats, etc., added to the speed of their demise. The last wolf was seen in the Yellowstone National Park in 1926. The wolves being absent for close to 70 years led to an overpopulation of elk. Now, elk are large deers with those majestic horns. With the natural predators missing, the elks thrived. This population explosion led to a decrease in vegetation. The elks grazed away most of the vegetation, causing significant damage. Almost nothing was allowed to grow. Every time any little plant or tree started to grow, they were eaten up by the elks. The park was slowly turning into a large tract of barren land. In 1995, the park rangers decided to reintroduce wolves. The hope was that these wolves would kill some of the elks and bring back the vegetation. Now, though the wolves killed some elks, the significant effect they had was in changing the behavior of the elks. The elks began to avoid valleys where they were most vulnerable of being trapped, causing these areas to regenerate. In fact, within just 6 years, the height of trees in some of these areas saw a 5-fold increase, and the valley became a forest of aspen, willow, and cottonwood. Now, as a result, the number of migratory birds and songbirds increased significantly, and the population of beavers grew. Now, beavers are nature's engineers. The dams built by beavers created large ponds. These ponds brought in otters, muskrats, ducks, fish, reptiles, and amphibians, a thriving ecosystem. The wolves also killed coyotes, leading to an increase in the number of rabbits and mice. This, in turn, resulted in an increase in the number of animals that hunt and eat rabbits and mice, like badgers, ravens, and bald eagles. These animals also fed on the carcasses left behind by the wolves. Bears too fed on those carcasses and also benefited from the increased berry production resulting from the regenerating shrubs. But the most fascinating aspect of the wolves' return was the wolves changed the behavior of the rivers. And the reason was that the regenerating forest stabilized the banks, so they collapsed less often, so that the rivers became more fixed in their course and reduced their meandering path. Similarly, by driving the elks out of some of the places, the vegetation grew again on the valley sides, and there was less soil erosion because the vegetation stabilized there as well. So the wolves, though small in number, transformed not just the ecosystem of the Yellowstone National Park, but also its physical geography. What a story. Where in business can we use this story? Well, in business, we often think that with all our data and all our analysis, we can always predict all the cause and effect of any decision. If we do this, that will happen. This is not the case, especially when the subject is human beings. Our understanding of complex system, the human behavior, is often limited. We can't be sure of the cause and the effect. However, we overestimate our ability to put in systems and processes to impact human behavior. Now, for example, a 15% annual salary increase may make one person very happy and throw a party, but the other person may quit. This is also a great story to drive home a point that we should always be very careful about decisions we make and the consequences that they may have. Hence, we need to think of all the cascading impacts of our decision before we make it. I'm sure when the wolves' population was declining due to the ranchers killing them, the park rangers would not have predicted how the ecology would be impacted, how several pieces of animals, birds, flora and fauna would disappear. Now, Sean Callahan shares a story about how many years ago the telecom giant Telstra removed a unique role as part of their cost optimization. The job of the person in that role was to explain the very complex billing system they had for enterprise customers. A year later, an analysis showed that the absence of this resource meant that a lot of the sales team's time was spent on this activity. The opportunity cost and the loss of revenue because of this was many times the cost saved by removing that precious previous resource. This story can also be used to talk about the impact of leaders. Leaders, like wolves, are like keystone species, and they can impact directly or indirectly the behavior and the culture of entire organizations. I hope you liked that story. If you did, you can find many, many more on our website www.storyworks.in. These stories are searchable using the business point you want to make. For example, if you key in complex, predictability, consequence, leadership, or action, you will find this story. So when you're looking for a story, go to our website and search for your keyword. The website and our YouTube channel has two playlists. The Story Bank playlist, which already has 72 stories, contains stories like this, real incidences that you can use to drive home a business point or inspire people to take action. The other playlist is called Leaders Speak. This has videos where leaders have shared stories that have created opinions they have. If you are sharing the same opinion with your team or driving home a similar message, you could use that story. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye for now.